I call the Honourable Member for Riverina and the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Finance.
Ventriloquist dummies. Well, as the opposition leader leaves the chamber, he should stay and listen. He should stay and listen. I tell you what, ventriloquist dummies, that's the pot calling the kettle black if ever I've heard it. As he leaves the chamber, he should stay and listen. And I don't think too many of his front bench, whilst he was reading from his prepared speech, actually were listening, Deputy Speaker. I in fact know, because I sat here—
Order. I don't think we've got the clock going at the moment.
Start again. I can start again if you like, Deputy Speaker. I can start again. I think I was referring to the fact that the pot was calling the kettle black. And certainly it's a bit rich of the opposition leader, the member for Maribyrnong, calling anybody a ventriloquist dummy, because the Australian public haven't forgotten his mob. I tell you what, they haven't forgotten, and they won't forget next election when it comes around, the 6 years of waste, of mismanagement, of total incompetence. Now, whilst he was reading his prepared speech, and the member for Kingsford Smith is yelling out something in favour of his leader, but he could do a lot better job. He could do a lot better job, because I tell you what, the leader of the opposition isn't listening, and his front bench weren't listening to him either. But I tell you what, I was listening in question time. I was listening in question time, and I heard the member for North Sydney, the Treasurer, talking about 106,000 jobs in 4 months created under the coalition. I heard the member for New England, the Minister for Agriculture, talk about the fact that it was Labor, in fact, who wanted to put a 6.85% increase in the price of diesel. I heard the member for Curtin, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, talk about the fact that under our policies, under the live cattle trade which we've reignited, 230,000 head of cattle have been shipped to Indonesia. That is of the 585,000 head of cattle which have been moved since we took back office. And I heard the Minister for Immigration and Border Protection, the member for Cook, talk about 168 days without a boat. 168 days. 100 days without a question from the member for McMahon. And no wonder the member for McMahon, the Shadow Minister, doesn't want to get up and ask the Minister for Immigration and Border Protection a question, because he's embarrassed. He's embarrassed about the fact that under his watch and under Labor's 6 years, 55,000 people came to these shores unauthorised, and they're currently in detention centres, mind you, 9 of which we've closed under our policies because the boats have stopped. But each and every one of those 55,000 people cost taxpayers, cost the public purse $170,000 to process. And it's just a disgrace. By our policies, we're saving people's lives. We've stopped the boats, we're saving people's lives. And we heard the Treasurer also talk about the $1 billion of interest that is being racked up each and every month, because the interest bill left by the debt and deficit left by that fellow over there, the member for Lilly. And if I might read from his 2013-12 budget speech, in which he began, member for Lilly, I hope you're listening. The 4 years of surpluses I announced tonight are a powerful endorsement of the strength of our economy, resilience of our people, and success of our policies. I mean, have you ever? He pretends not to listen, but he says in an uncertain and fast-changing world, we walk tall as a nation, confidently living within its means. I mean, have you ever? I mean, living within its means. That's what our budget is getting on with the job of doing. We are going to live within our means, because certainly under the member for Lilly, we didn't live under our means. We just maxed out the credit card each and every day, each and every week, each and every month under his stewardship as Treasurer of this country. And I tell you what, you know, our future generations are going to be paying dearly for the mess that he left us, for the mess that Labor left us. But we're getting on with the job. We're getting on with the job because we now have a responsible Treasurer. We now have a responsible Treasurer. We have people on this side of the House who know business, who understand that you cannot spend more money than you earn. We've got— how many of you people have actually been in a small business or a farm or— yeah, exactly. See? And how many people on that side have?
None.
None. Nobody puts up their hand. I mean, there you go. And I'm not the first person to ask that question. The Treasurer did. He got the same sort of response. He got the same sort of response because they don't understand business. They don't understand business. A lot of them are union hacks. A lot of them are union hacks, and I can hear the shadow. I can hear the shadow Minister for Agriculture.
Well, the Parliamentary Secretary. Hold on. No, hold on. The Parliamentary regime said. Now, the member for Hunter, has he got a point of order? No. That's grossly disorderly. No, you'll get an early leave passed very shortly if he interrupts like that again. The member for Riverina has a call.
The member for Hunter is embarrassed too, because he probably read, as I did, The Australian from the other day, June 2, where it said coalition cuts water buybacks. And we have Labor accused of spending $1.5 billion on projects that didn't help Murray flows. It was all about the environment, wasn't it, member for Hunter? And it was all about the environment. It was all about putting money into bureaucracy, spending money on everything bar helping those people who grow food and fibre, helping those people who you should have been also getting in and assisting by insisting that the two Prime Ministers who took the leadership during, well, actually we had three, I suppose, three different sort of Prime Ministers, two different people. I mean, it was just shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic. But under Labor, we spent far too much money on bureaucracy, far too much money on water buybacks, taking water out of those valuable irrigation communities. We had far too much money spent on health bureaucracies, far too much waste. We could talk about pink bats, we could talk about overpriced school halls, but we're not going to. We're going to be positive. We're going to be positive. We're going to talk about this budget being a key component of the Abbott government's economic action strategy, which will build a strong, prosperous economy and a safe, secure Australia. That's what we're getting on with the job of doing. The infrastructure growth package takes the government's transport investment to $50 billion by 2019-20. 2019-2020. As a result, total infrastructure investment from Commonwealth, state and local government as well as private sector will build to more than $125 billion by 2019-20. That's a great investment in Australia. We've got the infrastructure Prime Minister. We've got Australia open for business. We had the Andrew Robb, the Minister for Trade, getting out and forging key preferential trade deals, trade negotiations with Korea and Japan. It wouldn't have happened under Labor. It wouldn't have happened. The government is creating the world's largest medical research endowment fund, a $20 billion medical research future fund. Contributions to the fund are coming from a new patient contribution to health services and from other health savings. Health savings. We have to get on with the job of making some savings because of the mess we were left by your mob, because of the debt we were left by Labor. This endowment fund, when mature, will double current direct medical research funding with an additional $1 billion a year. And who knows what sort of great medical research that will do. Young people with a work capacity will be required to be earning, learning or participating in work for the dole. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. People can't expect to just keep getting a government cheque. They can't expect to just keep getting money which is actually coming out of the pockets of other Australian taxpayers. The buck has to stop. It stopped on May 13 when the member for North Sydney, the Treasurer, brought down his budget. Now, businesses will receive up to $10,000 for employing workers older than 50. It's a good initiative, who have been on income support for 6 months or more, meaning there will be stronger incentives to hire older workers. We're getting on with the job of giving people incentives to work. We're getting on with the job of making sure people either learn or they earn. The government will reform the age pension to make it sustainable. We have to make our country sustainable. Our health system has to be sustainable. We're getting on with the job of making Australia a fairer, a stronger nation. We have to. Yes, fairer. I take the interjection. Absolutely fairer. And it is not fair. It is not fair to keep taking money away from some Australians and giving it to others. Some Australians who want to work, some Australians who are just yearning for the capacity to get a job. They are getting a job. 106,000 jobs in just a few months created under the coalition. We're getting on with the job of making Australia work again, where, more importantly, we're paying down the debt. $667 billion worth of debt. If it was left unchecked, for $667 billion, which was going to be left by your mob, Labor, which, quite frankly, in 6 years lived beyond its means. Lived beyond its means. It had no plan for agriculture. It had no plan to stop the boats. It had no plan to pay down the debt. We're getting on with the job. We're providing hope. We're providing reward, we're providing opportunity, we're getting Australia working again, and we're doing it in a measured way, a sensible way, and a way that will make sure that the people of Australia know that we're the sensible people in charge and will re-vote for us at the next election.
Order. Call the honourable member for Kingston.